Today on the Dad the Best I Can show.
And that's kind of been our philosophy when it came to careers. It wasn't her career or my career. It was kind of our career. We established early that we were a team when we had children.
Hey now! Welcome to the Dad the Best I Can show. My name is Rob Roseman. Who wants to be a millionaire legend? Chicago futures trader, Vegas poker pro. Now I'm a dad to 3 kids, ages 6, 4, and 1. Phew! Wears me out just thinking about it. Each week we're bringing on dads like you to tell us your stories, your tips and tricks to help all of us make it through dad life. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Now let's get on with the show. Today on the Dad the Best I Can show, we're lucky to be joined by Brian Pawlikowski. Brian is 39 years old. He lives in Roswell, Georgia with his wife Sara and 2 daughters, ages 8 and 6. We're going to talk to Brian about his service in the military in Iraq and in Hurricane Katrina, and how it helps him out as a stay-at-home dad, why Brian thinks being a stay-at-home dad can be a little more challenging than being a stay-at-home mom, and we'll talk about how Brian got an acting gig on his favorite TV show, The Walking Dead. 2 fun facts about Brian: he's a certified scuba diver, and he loves craps so much he built himself his own craps table. Let's go. Hey Brian, how you doing today?
I'm fine.
All right. Thanks for being on the Dad the Best I Can show. We like to start off with some rapid fire questions right out of the gates. Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. What's the first car you ever owned?
1989 Ford Ranger that my dad suckered me into repairing.
What is your favorite movie? Category is drama.
Rounders.
Oh, that's a great answer. I'm convinced that's the most rewatchable movie of all time.
Absolutely.
What's your favorite comedy movie?
Mel Brooks' History of the World Part 1.
Who is your favorite stand-up comedian?
Right now it's Joey Diaz.
He is hilarious. What was your favorite video game to play as a kid?
Final Fantasy.
What was your favorite 1990s TV show?
South Park, because it's still relevant today.
You let your kids watch South Park?
No.
What's your favorite TV show now?
I guess it's The Walking Dead. There's too many good ones to actually have an absolute favorite, though.
What is your favorite meal to cook?
Chili and cornbread.
What is your favorite place to vacation?
The Caribbean.
What's your favorite music to work out to?
It's the Dropkick Murphys, good Irish punk band that's great for hitting the bag.
What's your favorite cheesy anthem rock song?
Queen's Princes of the Universe.
Did you see that movie?
Yes.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
What's your favorite power ballad to slow dance with your wife to?
November Rain, Guns N' Roses.
All right, great answers, Brian. You did not disappoint. Brian is married with 2 daughters. How old are they?
6 and 8. Emily is 6, Olivia is 8.
Brian and I met how most grown-ups meet these days. We live down the block from each other, and our kids are in the same class. What people might not guess about Brian if they saw you hanging out at the bus stop is that you're a stay-at-home dad. That's because Brian looks like a total badass right out of Game of Thrones. He's got the red beard. He's intimidating looking.
I'm a big softie.
He's a stay-at-home dad, but he started his life by serving in the military. Tell us a little bit about your experience there and how that shaped you.
In 1998, I joined the active duty Army and was stationed at Fort Hood and lived in South Korea for approximately 16 months, achieved the rank of sergeant. I was in the Army Signal Corps, and then in 2002 I got out and joined the Ohio Army National Guard and went to college, and I deployed to Iraq and the relief effort in Hurricane Katrina.
What was crazier, Iraq or Katrina?
I would have to say Katrina, because I knew what I was getting into in Iraq, but Katrina, because it was on U.S. soil, I was completely taken back by. Just going across Lake Pontchartrain and seeing, a U.S. Navy freighter in the harbor, seeing military helicopters going in and out of the city, going into a major American city, and it's completely deserted. It looked like it was straight out of The Walking Dead. It was very surreal.
What's it like being a ex-military dad?
It's great because you have a camaraderie and brotherhood with other people. You can talk about things other than sports and the weathers, and it's a shared experience that you have with somebody else. One of my friends that I deployed with Iraq is actually a stay-at-home dad.
Mm-hmm.
And he has 3 kids, just like you, and they're all relatively the same age, so he's losing his mind most of the time, but he's doing all right. He's hanging in there.
It makes Iraq seem easier some days.
Yeah. We joke with each other that some of the easiest times of our life when we were over there.
Yeah, and I imagine even coming back, a lot of people come back to young kids. That's got to be a shock for anybody. But
yeah.
So, as we said before, Brian, like myself, you are a stay-at-home dad, and you have a very career-driven wife, Sara.
Mm-hmm.
And how did that play out where you became the stay-at-home dad and Sara, took off with her career?
When we met, she was well established in her career in the fashion industry, and I was still completing my 4-year degree while working for a security company and with the sheriff's office. So it kind of made sense for me to stay home financially. It was purely a financial decision, and it was also important for us to be at home. And by doing so, it helped her advance in her career because she could take those last-minute trips overseas. She could, if she had to work late, it was not that big of a deal. She didn't have to worry about finding childcare or paying extra for a babysitter. She could just go because she knew I was there. And that's kind of been our philosophy when it came to careers. It wasn't her career or my career. It was kind of our career. We established early that we were a team when we had children. It's not us versus them or her versus me. It was, we're all in this together.
Mm-hmm. We're going through the same thing, and you do kind of have to, it takes a little while to come to that understanding, and then you start to realize that your family is, the most important thing. And I'm sure both have encountered what we think people might think of a dad staying at home is not the norm, but at the bus stop, I'm sure you've gotten some looks from the moms hanging out there, right, that are maybe surprised to see a dad staying at home?
Yeah, I would actually, and this is based on my personal experience, but I would say being a stay-at-home dad is a little bit more challenging than being a stay-at-home mom because society is set up for the stay-at-home moms with the mommy and me classes when they're little and the multiple play dates that moms get invited to. When my kids were little, we barely got invited to play dates because a lot of the moms were intimidated by me just because I was a man.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a quick break to talk about our Dad Tip of the Week for you, brought to you by Kickstart Reading. At Kickstart Reading, you can watch 2-minute videos that teach your kid how to read. This is how I taught my 5-year-old going into kindergarten how to read, and now my 4-year-old in pre-K is learning to read with these videos now too. Best part? 2 minutes. What dad doesn't have time for 2 minutes? Come on, guys. Go to kickstartreading.com and use the code DADTHEBEST to get your first month free. That's kickstartreading.com. So, on the Dad the Best I Can show, we like to do a dad tip of the week. Brian, do you have a dad tip of the week for dads out there, especially with 2 daughters?
Yeah, try not to take things personal. I learned that in the police academy and while working for the sheriff's office. Whenever you're dealing with, the worst of the worst people, I'm not saying my kids are the worst of the worst people, but whenever you're dealing with the worst of the worst people, they're going to swear at you, they're going to curse at you, they're going to call your mother all kinds of names, and it's not personal.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know you from Adam, mm-hmm. and they're mostly addressing the uniform that you're wearing. So when your daughter does that, it's almost the same thing. It's not personal. Especially with little kids, a lot of times they don't know what they're saying. So when they tell you, "Oh, I hate you, Dad, because you sent me to my room because I was hitting my sister," it's not personal. You just got to learn to walk away when it gets too heavy, and it'll work out eventually.
Mm-hmm. So you might get heated in the moment, but you can detach from it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's hard not to react to it, but I am getting better at within 3 minutes I can chill out.
Well, I have an issue where I'm yelling, but I don't think I'm yelling. In the military, we called it the command voice, where you're speaking loudly. It's for everyone to hear, and you're trying to establish. And the police do it too, and they try to establish an authoritative setting. Well, 8 years in the military, 6 years in law enforcement, it's kind of hard to lose that. So when you're using that voice with a 2-year-old, it's very intimidating. So that's the one thing I always have to try and keep in check is the the volume of my voice. And
Yeah, I've heard it before. It is a little scary, but I didn't know that is just part of your background and training.
It
and
is.
Probably is, makes the girls feel safe, secure. I think in some ways they are craving that kind of boundaries and structure.
I know my kids are happier when I have structure with them. If I just let them go crazy, eventually fights will break out, and then everyone's crying, and I'm crying.
But only a 6-year-old can
that's
break
right.
your spirit. Right?
That's right.
It's amazing. I'll be walking around like, how am I letting him do this to me? This is insane. The 1.5-year-old, she's got some new skills too. She's going after me. Like we were talking about before, when you have somebody in your family that's very career driven, it's very difficult to have two people doing that at the same time. There's going to be some fallout, and that's probably going to fall on the kids. So I think it is really important to have one parent that is able to hold up the fort at home.
And it's gotten a little bit easier for me, as I've discussed with you. I'm in the payoff period now.
Yes. Your girls are how old now?
6 and 8, so they're both in school full time. So I put them on the bus, and then I have the whole day to myself 5 days a week until they get off the bus.
Yeah, we've said before, what is the greatest time of the day for you?
So, to be honest, some of the best times of the day is when they get off the bus or when they get on the bus, and I watch that bus drive away, and I take a few seconds and I call and I say to myself, it's time for the quiet.
Oh, man, that sounds fun. I agree totally. That's 7. Well, we've been driving them to school lately because it's a total circus getting out of the house, but 7:32 is a peaceful time. That quiet,
But it's also the best part, when they get off the bus too, and I could tell they had a good day. That always makes me feel pretty good.
Having a career-focused wife, you got to get on the same page and figure out how to run the family. How do you and Sara pull that off?
I think my Army experience helps with that. In the U.S. Army, there is a chain of command paralleled by a non-commissioned officer or NCO support structure, where every commander is going to have a first sergeant or a sergeant major, depending on how high the rank is, to back them up. And a sergeant in general in the Army is responsible for the health, safety, general welfare, training, and discipline of a soldier, much like a parent is with a child. So given that I left the military as sergeant, it really helped me segue into being a parent with those skills of taking care of my soldiers. So, and the commander, while a sergeant focuses on the day-to-day operations of the unit, where a commander focuses on long-term strategy and planning. A commander gives the orders, and the sergeant see that it's carried out, that those orders are carried out. And I kind of parallel that with my wife's and I's relationship. She is long-term goal-focused with her career and family finances, and I see to the day-to-day operations of the house. And it sounds like a very paramilitary structure, but it seems to work for us.
So the kids are in school all day. You get some dad time. What kind of things do you get to do for fun?
I like to work out and lift weights, hit the heavy bag. I run a lot.
Taking out some of that aggression of having kids around all day.
Yeah, but mostly it's just for health. I do feel better. I think it's very important to be physically fit for your mental and physical health. I still like being a former military and law enforcement officer. I still like to go to the shooting range every once in a while. Not too much, but just enough for practice. And I actually participate in a very nerdy hobby.
Oh, yes. I've heard about this.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it. I keep saying I want to join, but...
I went back to my high school nerd days and started playing Dungeons & Dragons again.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, to my wife's chagrin.
Yeah, she doesn't play along?
No, she doesn't. But she did say she would rather have me doing that than going to strip clubs. So.
There you go. That seems like it's all the rage now. Is it a TV show or something? Got the popularity back? It's
gotten back into popularity, I think, primarily from the Netflix show Stranger Things. It's a big aspect of that show, and as well as podcasts that and Twitch streams where you can listen and watch people play this game. A lot of comedy ensues with it, and it's a great way to get to know people and spend a few inexpensive hours having some fun.
Yeah, and you teaching the girls yet? Are they coming around soon?
Yeah, I'm going to be teaching them fairly soon. I think it's a great way to socially interact with people. And it teaches problem solving and working together and just using their imagination. And in this day and age of devices and YouTube videos, it's harder and harder to get kids to use their imaginations. They're always online and they're always, using touch screens and plugging away at their games.
Yeah, no, I didn't think about it. It's a game where there isn't a screen. So any game where you are using your imagination, we're in for. Yeah, we might have to try it out one of these days. I'm sure my sons would be really into it. There's dressing up, isn't there?
No.
Oh, no dressing up.
No. I'm not that far down the rabbit hole.
Nice. And you also told me you've done a little bit of acting work in the Atlanta area is like the Hollywood of the South, right? You've gotten some gigs.
Oh yeah, I've just started doing extra work, and it's hard for me to get away because of my responsibilities at the house. But occasionally my mom can come in and watch the kids for me for a day or two, and I can be on set for 12, 16 hours.
Yeah, extra work is hard, huh? That's a full day?
Yeah, it is. You don't get the gig until the day before, and then you don't know how long you're going to be on set. So having that childcare in place with my mother is definitely important. But I've gotten some fun extra roles, and it doesn't pay a lot, but it is a lot of fun. And it's something that I'm going to continue as my kids get older I'm going to take some acting courses, and maybe I can turn it into something in the future. Yeah, you got the look for it. That's all the rage now, are these Game of Thrones beasts. What shows have you been on? I've done extra work on The Walking Dead. I was in the movie Den of Thieves, the Gerard Butler movie. Oh, all right. Walking Dead, your favorite show, and you got a spot on it. That's like every kid's dream. Yeah, it was quite an experience. It was definitely rewarding. Well, thanks, Brian. This was a good time. I learned something, which is my favorite part of these things. I appreciate you coming on. Oh, you're quite welcome. Thank you for having me. All right. Thank you guys for listening to the Dad the Best I Can show. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. Actually, 5 stars. We could do better than that. Brooks? Infinity. Infinity stars. Cameron? How many stars? Infinity 1,000. Infinity 1,000. You got to one-up them in this household. Thanks. See ya.